Hello. Hello, my students. Today is the 2nd of April. How are you? I hope that you are doing well and that you are excited about another day of learning with Mrs. Gaylord. This is Thursday, our last video lesson for the week. Guys, tomorrow, don't Friday, we get to go into the live Zoom room. So, whereas Miss Gaylord is filming today, we will be live tomorrow in our Zoom room. So don't forget to join me. I sent your parent the code to get in at 10 o'clock, and I'll be happy to see your face tomorrow. Today, let's start with our thought for the day. Okay, it's called Rumble, Grumble, Growl. It always seems that it happens at the worst possible times, in the middle of a test, in the middle of something important, when everything is still and quiet. That's when it strikes. It's the dreaded, loud gurgling of your stomach. What does it mean and why does it happen? Stomach growling starts, you guessed it, in your stomach. And then it moves, remember we studied, to the small intestine and the rest of your digestive system. You see, when you eat, remember we learned your body squeezes that food through your digestive system. And then as it's churning and makes it so that it can digest, and that grumbling comes out sometimes when the muscles are being squeezed inside your stomach. Now, this can happen at any time, but when not much food is in there, the grumbling can get really loud. Think of it as your body's way to remind you to eat. Do you know another part of us that can grumble besides our stomach? Our mouths. Yep. When you've got homework to do, too much schoolwork or chores, or when you've been asked to do something you don't want to do, like take out the trash or something, do you ever grumble? Do you ever argue or complain? I hope you don't, but sometimes we do, don't we? Sometimes we find ourselves with our lips making choices that we shouldn't. So, you know what? You're probably going to have to do that chore anyway, and you might as well smile about it. Okay. And remember what we talked about yesterday and the day before, that it always pays off to help. So, right now, while you're at home and you have time, how about helping mom or dad clean out the refrigerator or whatever it is they're doing, that closet? How about having a good smile on your face and a good attitude while you do it? That's our thought for today. Well, this morning we're going to jump right into our Riggs program. If you have your Riggs journal handy, get that out. Now we've got 3 days of words to call out for today. Okay, so this is our last day of the video lessons this week. So these will be the last time that Miss Gaylord calls these words out. So our Riggs is a little bit different than we do in school. Okay. So if you haven't found a piece of paper yet and a pencil, go find a piece of paper so that you can write these words on. Okay. Now remember, after you write these, have someone check it or you check it against your journal and see if you got them all right. Okay. Even though I'm not taking a test grade this first week, this will be a good practice for you to get these all right. Okay. All right. So if you're labeling your paper, label it like the way we normally do. Riggs. Okay. Test, your name and date. Stay in the practice of doing that. Okay. At any time, if I'm going too fast and you need to pause, press pause, please, on your video. Okay. Number one. Number one is wean. Wean. Number two, lean. Lean. Number three, bean. Bean. Number four, matter, matter. Number 5, blast, blast. Number 6, depart, depart. Number 7, clasp, clasp. Number 8, strap, strap. Number 9, button, button. Number 10, excuse, excuse. Number 10, basin, basin. Number 11, nearly, nearly. Number 12, ounce, ounce. Number 13, bound, bound. Number 14, device, device. Number 15, fewest, fewest. And the last word is fewer, fewer. Okay, now that you've had time, make sure you check your words. Make sure you've gone back to look at each word. Did you cross all your T's? Did you dot all I's? Make sure that you have done that, okay? Now, how about on the back of your paper, you turn over and let's practice writing these 2 dictation sentences. Now, the reason why we write these dictation sentences would be so that you can practice your listening, okay? That you can practice writing a sentence using the correct grammar forms that we've used. Are you remembering to capitalize your first word of your sentence? End marks, commas, all of these parts of language are important to the dictation, okay? So don't forget to write number 1, write each word that I say. If you'd like to repeat what I say after I say it, that would be fine. Okay, dictation number 1. The strap on my bag fell to the ground. The strap on my bag fell to the ground. The strap on my bag fell to the ground. If you need to press pause and finish writing, please do so. The strap on my bag fell to the ground. Number 2. Please excuse my dog in your food. Please excuse my dog in your food. Please excuse my dog in your food. Okay, if you need to press pause here, please do so. Now, what kind of sentence was the first one? The strap on my bag fell to the ground. Okay, that was a telling sentence, or we call it a declarative sentence. What does it end with? A period. Very good. Okay. All right. Number 2. Please excuse my dog in your food. What kind of sentence was that? It was a command. Command. And what does that sentence end with? A period also. Make sure that you have written the sentences and keep practicing. Now, in your document in your Google Classroom, those were the places to type the words that we got each day. So today you'll type all the words that Ms. Gaylord called out, and that's how she knows that you are listening to the videos and that you are getting the words that she says, okay? Now, let me remind you, I remind you every day, but even after you watch the video, you need to click the turn in button. Some of us, I can see through my YouTube channel that some of you are watching the video, but I can't see that some of you are clicking the turn in, but some of you are not. So everything that we do in the Google Classroom, make sure you click the turn in button. Thank you for doing that, okay? Very good. All right. You get your first star for the Riggs test today, okay? Very good. All right. So today, we're going to put our sound phonogram cards at the end of the lesson if we have time, and we're going to move on today because we have a little bit other things to do today. If you need to press pause or take a break or get a sip of water, please do so. And come join me with your math materials, okay? All right, so our math materials you would need if you printed out the classwork for today. This is what it would look like. It's several pages today. Today would be 254, 255, 256, and 257, okay? We have the guided practice and the independent practice that you should be able to do on your own. If you printed those out, get those in front of you. If not, you can just listen with us, okay? All right, let's review a little bit about time, okay? All right, so we talked about how time, okay? When you look at time and you look at clocks, we have 2 types of clocks, okay? All right, we have one that looks like this. This clock that we've been looking at in class that has the arms on it? What kind of clocks are these? Okay, analog. Do you remember that word? Analog. These are analog clocks, okay? What kind of clock would be like on your phone that tells you the time? Digital, okay? Digital. Now, a lot of people in our world today just look at the digital clock, but watches and other things, a lot of them have the analog clock on them. And so you need to be able to read the time as well, okay? All right. So we've been talking about the clock and how each number represents so much time, okay? We started with the 1. If a hand is on the 1, and it's the minute hand, okay, the longer hand, we say that the 1 is 5 minutes. The 2 is what? 10. The 3, 15. 4, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60 minutes is 1 hour. Good job. 1 hour. Okay, so we talk about the hands on the clock. The red hand is the shorter hand. And what hand is that? The hour hand. Very good. Okay, the blue hand is the longer hand. What hand is that? The minute hand. Very good. Okay, so we talked about how sometimes the hands change places. Okay, so if the minute hand's at the 12 and the hour hand's right here at the 7, what time is it? 7 o'clock. What if it goes to the 3? 7:15 to the 6. 7:30. Good. To the 9. 7:45. And the next hour would be 8 o'clock. Those were the easy ones. Okay. What happens if the minute hand is in between two numbers? What if it's 2 minutes past the 2? What time is this? 8:12. Good. Let's bring it on around. What if it's 3 minutes past the 10? What time is it? 8:53. Good job. Good job. Okay. This is a hard one. Okay. Now, what time is that? Many of you were tempted to say 9 something, but it's not. Look, it's 8:58. Those were the hard ones when the minute hand gets over that side. Make sure you're drawing out some clocks at home, practicing. You could even make a clock like this one we made with your own numbers on it. Okay, this one was made out of foam. Those are fun to do as well. So practice your time every day, every day. Another thing I wanted you to practice is your money skills. Okay, how much is this one worth? $1. Good job. How much is this one? $10. How much is this one? $20. And how much is this one? $5. Very good. Very good. Okay. Now, do you remember that if we add up these pieces of money, let's say we're adding up 5s, okay? This would be the value of how much money? $5. Okay. Plus, let's see, another 5 would be $10. Very good. Another 5. $15 plus a 10. $25 plus a 20. $45 plus a 1. $46 plus another 1. $47. Very good. Okay, you can practice with your money at home too. If you want to make some out of paper, that would be a good thing to do. If you had any spare time, you could practice with your change. Pull out your change and see if you can count it. If you don't have any change, you could draw some out on a piece of paper like Mrs. Gaylord has practiced here. Okay, where she drew some out. She drew some. These happen to be quarters. You remember these? Okay. Let's add up 5 quarters. How much are 5 quarters? How would we find that answer? How much is 1 quarter? We would start with 25 cents. Good. How much is 2 quarters? 50 cents. Okay. How much is 3 quarters? 75 cents. Good. How much is 4 quarters? $1. And how much would be 5 quarters? How much would that be? 25, 50, 75, $1, $1.25. Do you know how you would write $1.25? Dollar sign, 1 decimal point, 2, 5. $1.25. Okay, so those were our skills last week. So I hope that you've mastered those and continue to work on those as well. Let's review today some of our shapes before we get started. Okay, now Ms. Gaylord has talked about shapes that have straight sides and shapes that don't have straight sides. Does this shape have a straight side? No, it's curved. It's not a straight-sided shape, okay? Does this shape have a straight side? Yes, straight sides. Okay, this one has how many sides? 6. Very good. Now, Miss Gaylord has been calling these angles like your book, but do you know that they also have another name? Vertices. Very good. Okay, where the 2 lines meet, they make points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 angles or 6 vertices, okay? And they have 6, this one has 6 sides. What is a 6-sided figure called if all the sides are straight sides? Yes, good, a hexagon, okay? What is a straight-sided figure with 3 sides? Triangle, good job. And what is the number of angles or vertices on a triangle? Also 3. Perfect. Very good. Okay. This shape has 4 sides. Are the sides all the same length? Yes, they are. So what is this shape called? The square. Okay. How many vertices are on the square? 4. 4 angles and 4 sides. Okay. Is this shape the same as this shape? No. What's different about this shape than this shape? The sides are not the same length. Very good. Okay. These also have 4 angles or 4 vertices, but the sides are not the same length. So what do we call this shape? Good. The rectangle. The rectangle. Both of these shapes have another name. What is a 4-sided figure called that the sides are straight? Quadrilateral. Very good. Quadrilateral. Okay. These are other 2 4-sided shapes. This shape has 4 straight sides, and it has 2 sides that are what we call parallel, that run like this. And then it has 2 sides that are also parallel. What do we call this shape? Remember, Miss Gaylord told you eventually these lines will cross. Okay? If you look at the lines, they'll eventually cross. This is called a trapezoid. Trapezoid. This shape has parallel sides running one way and parallel sides running another way. These are 2 examples of these shapes. What are these shapes? The rhombus. Very good. The rhombus. Okay, so I hope that you have learned the names of your shapes today. We're going to use them. So make sure you have your pages handy in your book, and that's where we're going to begin today. Okay? Example. Lynn drew a hexagon that is different from the ones drawn on the previous page. What could her shape look like? Make a drawing. Okay, now, your example gives the shape, okay? Mrs. Gaylord has pulled out her board to try to show you. Do you know what this is called? A geoboard. Okay, I'm not sure if I could make this shape on here, but I'm going to try. Okay, so this shape, the top, my rubber band may not quite be big enough. Yeah, I don't think it's going to stretch like that, but okay. So maybe if I don't break it. Okay, it looks something like this, okay, on my board. Now, it says you can use dot paper or you can make dot paper to show your work, or you can, if you don't have it printed out, you might want to draw some dots to show your work, okay? All right, so Lynn drew a hexagon that's different. Is this one also a hexagon? Let's count. Let's look at the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this a six-sided figure that have straight sides? It is. Okay, it is. Okay, now, so what I want you to do is look at the answer that they wrote for you in the example. It says this shape has 6 sides. They even numbered the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so they wrote in a sentence, it is a hexagon. Let's look at number 10. Okay. Draw a shape that has 5 sides. Now you're going to use your dots. I'm going to use my geoboard to show you. But yours does not have to look exactly like mine as long as it has 5 sides. Okay. Go ahead and make one now. Ms. Gaylord's going to try to make one while you make one on your dots. Okay. All right, you got yours? Okay, here's mine. I made a 5-sided shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do all of my sides have straight lines? Yes. Can any be curved like that? Curved around? No. Okay, all of my sides have straight lines. Now, yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but what shape did you make if it's a 5-sided figure? What should you write in the answer? This shape is a pentagon. A pentagon. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, turn over to the next part. Solve the riddle. You know, Miss Gaylord likes riddles. I have fewer sides than a pentagon. Okay, how many sides does a pentagon have? 5. Good. Okay, so I have fewer than 5, so I can't have 5 sides. I'm not a quadrilateral. Okay. How many sides does a quadrilateral have? Quad means what? 4. So I don't have 5 sides like a pentagon. I don't have 4 sides like a quadrilateral. Okay. How many sides do I have, or what am I? Can I have a shape with 1 side? No. Can I have a shape with 2 sides? No. What shape do you think I am? Go ahead and say it out loud. What shape do you think I am? Yep, you got it. I am the triangle. Very good. I am the triangle. All right, where it says show your work, let's show our work by writing a sentence, okay? So it says, I have fewer sides than a pentagon. So in the show your work part, you would write, a pentagon has how many sides? 5. Good. Okay. I am not a quadrilateral. So in the show your work part, you would put a quadrilateral has 4 sides. Okay. What am I? In the last sentence, you would put, I am a triangle because, and then you would write, I have 3 sides. Very good. Now, a shape cannot have 1 side or 2 sides. Okay, very good. It'll take you just a minute to write that answer. All right, if you need to press pause, please do so. Number 12. What statement is true? Okay, let's look at these individually. A, rectangles are not quadrilaterals. Let's see, what's a rectangle? It's a shape that has how many sides? 4. Okay, are the sides equal? They're not. But if they're 4-sided, are they called quadrilaterals? Yes. So this one says rectangles are not quadrilaterals. Would that be true? That would not be true. I would not pick A. Number B. Quadrilaterals can have 5 angles. A quadrilateral is how many sides? 4. So if it's 4 sides, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. So would a quadrilateral have 5 angles? No. Okay, so I'm not going to pick that. Now I want you to look at C and D, and I want you to decide which answer would you pick. C says, all quadrilaterals have 4 sides. And D says, all quadrilaterals have 4 equal sides. Which one would you pick? C. Very good. Now, quadrilaterals do have to have 4 sides, but their sides don't have to be equal. This could be a quadrilateral. Okay. And these are equal. 1, 2, no, these are not equal. This one goes up 5 and across 4. These are not equal. This could be a quadrilateral, or this could be a quadrilateral. But the sides don't have to be equal. The prefix quad means 4. Now, let's look at the sentence. Alma chose D as the answer. Her answer is wrong. She said that all quadrilaterals have 4 equal sides. She is not right. How did Alma get her answer? Okay, let's think about some of these shapes that we know. Well, okay, a rhombus has 4 equal sides. Okay, but this one doesn't have 4 equal sides. A rectangle doesn't have 4 equal sides. Okay, so in our answer, we can put squares and rhombuses have 4 equal sides, but other quadrilaterals do not. Rectangles do not have 4 equal sides. They are quadrilaterals that don't have 4 equal sides, so those can be part of your answers there. You can press pause if you need to continue on that problem. Otherwise, we're going to turn the page and go over to the practice. We are now on page 256. Okay, on 256, number 1, these are fill in the blanks. There are 3 answers to choose from. Some, no, or all. Okay, go ahead and try to fill in your answer. Go ahead and fill in your answer for A, B, and C. A. How many triangles have 3 sides? Is it some, no, or all? All. Very good. All triangles have to have 3 sides. Number B. Blank triangles have sides the same length. Okay, go ahead and fill in your answer there. Some. This triangle has 3 sides, but the sides are not all the same length if you measure them, but it's still a triangle. So that would be some. You are correct. Okay. Fill in number C. How many triangles have 4 angles? This is an angle. Okay. Or the vertices. This is an angle, or a vertices. This is an angle. There's only 3. Would any triangle have 4? Would that still be a triangle? No. So your answer here would be no. All triangles have 3 sides and 3 angles, or what we call vertices. Okay, the answer would be no. Number 2. Ross draws a shape with 6 sides. Let's see if I can make a shape with 6 sides. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is a 6-sided shape. Okay, what is true about this shape? Circle all the answers. Okay, is this shape a pentagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's got 6 sides. Is it a pentagon? Would I circle A? No, okay, it's not a pentagon. Number B, this shape has 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Would I circle B? Okay, circle B. Very good. All right, you do C and D on your own. C. Does this shape have 5 sides? No. Okay, so I would not circle C. And D. Is this shape called a hexagon? Yes, very good. Yes, it is a hexagon. It's got 6 sides. Perfect. Okay, let's look at number 3. All right, let's see if I can construct this shape. Okay, this one may be able to do something like that. Okay, not exactly, but it looks something like this. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, looks something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, how many sides does this shape have? 5. Very good. Okay, what do we call a 5-sided shape? A pentagon. Very nice. Okay. So let's look at this. These answers. Now, if it says circle all the answers, does that mean you can circle one? Good, but does that mean there's probably more than one? Yes. So I think we're going to circle at least 2. Okay. All right. Look at this shape. Number A. Would you circle? It is a pentagon. Yes or no? It is a quadrilateral. It can be made up of 2 trapezoids. And does it have 3 angles? Okay, circle 2. Okay, Now, which ones did you circle? A. This is a pentagon. Why? Because it's got 5 sides. Good. Okay. Did you circle B? Is it a quadrilateral? No, because quadrilaterals have 4 sides. Did you circle C? Now, these are small, but you can see the picture. Okay. It could be made up of 2 trapezoids. Is that the shape of a trapezoid? Okay. Let's see. If we put 2 trapezoids together, could it be made up of 2 trapezoids? Okay, it's hard to see on this, but yes, it really could. The red trapezoids would have to be bigger, but yes, it could be made of 2 trapezoids. So you picked A and C. Did you pick that it has 3 angles? No, it doesn't, because it has 5 angles. Perfect. Okay, very good. All right, moving right along. We're on page 257. Number 4. What is the name of the big shape that is made by putting all the small shapes together? Think about that shape, and it tells me, how do you know? Okay, don't look at each individual tiny shape. Look at the big shape after you put them all together. Okay, put them all together, and then look at what the big shape is called when you put them all together. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shapes in that big shape. Okay, what is the name of that big shape? Hint, count the sides. Count the sides. Did you get it? Good. It's called a hexagon. If you look at all of the shapes together, it's called a hexagon. Do you know why? What would you write on your sentence? A hexagon has how many sides? 6 sides. So in your sentence where you write the big shape is called the hexagon because it has 6 sides. Okay, take some time to fill that out for me. Okay, now Miss Gaylor doesn't have this exact probably, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is kind of similar to the shape that's there, okay, on your paper. All right, so we said that it has 6 sides, so we call it a what? Hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now inside this shape, I don't know if I can make these, but I will try my best. Inside this shape, okay, you could see other shapes. Count what they want you to look at the 7 shapes that are inside. There are 7 smaller shapes that make up the big shape. Okay, what do I mean by that? Okay, I mean that there are 7 smaller shapes. My rubber bands are not quite small enough for this activity, but I was going to show you what it looks like. Okay, here's one. Well, I can get it to say. Okay, here's one. See how there's smaller shapes inside the bigger shape? What shape is that? That's a triangle. Very good. Okay, so count the number of triangles that you see. There's more than one. How many triangles do you see? 2, 3. 3. I see 3 triangles. Okay, good. Write the number 3 there. How many quadrilaterals do you see? Now, how many sides is a quadrilateral? 4. How many quadrilaterals do you see? 4-sided shapes. Okay. I see one of these, one trapezoid, and I see 2 that look like this. These are quadrilaterals because they have 4 sides. These are 2 rhombuses. Okay, so how many quadrilaterals do you see? Quadrilaterals mean 4 sides. I see also 3. Very good. Very good. Okay. How many hexagons do you see? How many sides are in a hexagon? 6. How many hexagons do you see? 1. Very good. Okay, so you put 1 as your answer. Excellent. Do you remember what Miss Gaylord said, that these are called when you take smaller shapes and make a picture with a bigger shape, make it into a bigger shape? She calls these her tangrams. Put these all together and make shapes. You've done this in my class. Some of you have. And you can make pictures. They're called tangrams. Okay, number 6. Now, it actually wants you to draw the shape this time. Use the dots. So I'm going to erase my geoboard and let this be my blank dots, okay? Draw a shape that has between 3 and 6 sides. Use the dots below. Tell us what the name of your shape is and tell us how you know. Okay? So draw a shape. It can be 3. It can be 4. Okay, it could be 3 sides. Could be 4 sides. Could be 5 sides. Or 6 sides. Any shape you want to, okay? And tell us, what do you call that shape? Okay, what if I drew this shape? I call it a rectangle, good, or a quadrilateral. What if I drew this shape? A rectangle or quadrilateral. What if I drew this shape? A square, very good. What if I drew this shape? Trapezoid, nice job. What if I drew this shape? Rhombus, okay. How about if I drew this shape? You can see through it. It's called a hexagon. Very good. Okay. Miss Gaylord has many more rectangle sizes here. Many more squares. Square. She's got all sorts of colors and shapes here to practice with. Okay. All right. So in your math lesson today, a few things. Okay. Review before you take the last quiz. Now, the quiz should be loaded up in the Google Classroom. Now, remember, for some reason, I'm going to have to go back and grade each one by one to make sure that you put the right answers in, because somebody had mentioned that their answer was wrong when it was actually right and they couldn't circle the right dot. So Miss Gaylord will be looking at each quiz individually as she goes to grade those. But don't forget, guys, once you do it, you need to mark turn in. That's the most important thing. Turn in. I hope that you have enjoyed this unit on these shapes. I know that was a little bit of a break. What do we call the study of shapes in math? Geometry. Geometry. Now, when you get into high school, you'll take a whole, or either in 8th grade or high school, you'll take a whole class on geometry, and you will learn the study of angles, shapes, those vertices that we talk about, and you will learn even more. But this is the basics that you need to know with shapes. Okay. Thank you for a good lesson in math. If you need to take a break and press pause, do so. Get you a drink of water. If you need to find your materials, the next thing we'll be looking at would be our reading book. So if you need to find your reading book pages, you can do that. Okay. we are going to look at the next part of the unit, which is, if you printed out your pages, they will be on page 318. It should look like this. Okay, it says, Bugs, Nature's Time Machine. Okay, so you can find your materials. Remember that we are going to, we have been studying how authors support their reasons, remember, their ideas with reasons. How do they explain points? What is an important idea about a topic called? A key point. What do we call the details that support that key point? Reasons. Very good. Okay. This whole unit, we've been talking about these bugs. Do you like bugs? Miss Gaylor does not like bugs, but since these are not alive, I thought I would just give you a little kick out of seeing my bugs. Okay. These are actually, they feel slimy. They're one of those kinds that stick to things. Thought I'd get my bugs out to show you. If this was alive, Miss Gaylor would not like this at all. Okay, now let's look at bugs, time machines. Now, today, this is the last science article that you will read in this unit, okay? This lesson. Now, what we want to do as we go through and read is you're going to try to find the key point of the story and then the reasons that support those key points, okay? I'm going to give you just a minute to pause the video and for you to read the story called Bugs, Nature's Time Machine. Circle any words as you read it that you don't know or that you'd like to ask about. Okay, go ahead and do that. Okay, you're back. I hope that you've read the story, Bugs, Nature's Time Machine by Nicole Linden. Have you ever wondered what insects looked like millions of years ago? They probably looked nothing like insects look today. Not so fast, it says, right? Insects long ago looked a lot like insects today. One kind of bug, the cockroach, has hardly changed at all. It still has a flat body and legs that are built for running. Ooh, 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 ooh. It still eats many different things, living and dead. Cockroaches are built in a way that works well for them. In fact, cockroaches might stay the way they are for many more millions of years. Ooh, 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 ooh. But other insects have changed a lot in some ways, and not so much in others. Prehistoric dragonflies looked much like they do today. They had long, thin bodies and two sets of wide wings. I kind of like to look at a dragonfly. Do you see one on the next page? It's there on 319. Now let's pause there a minute and tell me a word you may not know. What word did you circle that you may not have known? Anybody circle the word prehistoric? What do you think you could figure out prehistoric means? What does the prefix pre mean? If you were to look at the prefix, we talked about prefixes are letters that are added to the beginning of a word to change their meaning. What does the prefix pre mean? Where have you heard it? Pre-kindergarten, preschool, preview. What does pre mean? Before, okay? Prehistoric would be before a long time ago. History meaning a long time ago. So that would mean things that lived a long, long time ago. Okay? Very good. So the second type of insect the story mentions is the dragonfly. Now let's look at page 319. Remember, prehistoric dragonflies looked much like they do today. They had long, thin bodies and two sets of wide wings. They have those beautiful wings that are two sets on one side and two sets on the other side. Okay? 319. But there was one big difference. Dragonflies a long time ago were much larger. They had wingspans of up to 2 feet long. Is there another word in that sentence you haven't heard of? Wingspan. What do I mean by a wingspan? Okay, the span of how wide the wings are. So if this is my dragonfly, okay, and how wide the wings are, 2 sets of wings. So the wingspan would be from here to here. The wingspan, how wide it is. It says it could go 2 feet. 1 ruler is 1 foot. 2 rulers is 2 feet. That's pretty wide for a dragonfly, don't you think? They had wingspans of up to 2 feet long. This means that a dragonfly could be as big as a dog. Okay, it could be as big as a dog. That's pretty big. Wow. That could cause problems for people today. Now, we are lucky that insects are mostly smaller than they once were. Scientists think that many insects have not changed much because they haven't needed to. They were still able to find food and shelter as the world changed, so they did not need to change themselves. The next time you see an insect squirming in a garden, don't say, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." Instead, look at it closely. You just might be looking at the far off past. Pretty interesting, huh? Look at the picture there of the dragonfly. Can you read the caption out loud? Thank you. Long ago, dragonflies had wingspans about as long as your arm. Can you imagine? Ooh, that would be different, right? Which animal that we read about have changed very little? The cockroaches. The cockroaches. Ooh. Okay, now, if you had to tell me on this science article what you thought, what kind of text features were written in this article? Okay, now remember we talked about the word text. What does the word text mean? Okay, you get a text on your phone. Okay, words, right? So this text in a story means what? Words. What kind of text features are shown on this page? If you printed it out or looked at it on your Google Classroom, okay, what do you see? Okay, you see photographs, you see the little cockroaches and the dragonflies, okay? You see captions, you see the title and the story. Very good, okay. Based on the story, which animal or insect would you say has changed more over time? We compared 2 insects. What is it? The dragonfly. Very good. The dragonfly. Okay. How, from reading the story, have the dragonflies changed? What is it about the dragonflies that have changed? Now they are smaller than they once were. Very good. Very good. Okay. So if you had to talk about the key point of this story, what would you say the key point was? That insects have changed. Very good. Okay, now you're ready to turn over to the classwork for today. Page 320. If you've printed it out, Now, some of you are typing it into the document. I can see. Make sure that you are typing your answers there so that I will be able to read them. And we'll get that figured out, okay? All right, number 1. Use what you learned after you read the story, Bugs, Nature's Time Machine, okay? Why do you think they called the title of the story, Bugs, Nature's Time Machine? Bugs have changed over time. Good. Okay, let's look at number 1. This question has 2 parts. First answer part A and then answer part B. What key point does the author make about cockroaches? Look at your 4 answers. A, cockroaches have hardly changed at all. That would mean they look very similar to the way they used to look, to the way they look today. B, cockroaches have flat bodies and legs that are good for running. Is that the key point or is that a detail? Think about it. C, cockroaches eat many different things. Or D, cockroaches used to be much larger. Now, the key point would not be a detail. Which of those can I mark out because I know they're details that are not the main idea or key point? Can I mark out the fact that they are able to have bodies that are good for running? Okay, so I can mark out B. It's not B. What other detail can I mark out? Cockroaches eat many different things. That's not a key point. That's a detail. Okay, now I've got 2 to choose from. Is it A, their cockroaches have hardly changed at all? Or is it D, cockroaches used to be much larger? Well, that's not the insect that was larger. It's the dragonfly that was much larger. So which answer did you choose? A, correct. Cockroaches have hardly changed at all. Now, I need 2 reasons why you answered that way. Give me 2 reasons from your story. Go back and look at it that support that answer. I want you to go back and write those yourself without me giving you the answers, okay? 2 reasons from your story that say why cockroaches have hardly changed at all. Press pause on your video for you to write those 2 answers for me. Okay, you're back. Number 2. The author says that insects today look a lot like they did millions of years ago. Okay, underline 3 facts that support this key point. How long is millions of years ago? Is that a short time or a long time? A long time. Millions of years ago. Okay, can anybody live to be 1,000,000? No, most people don't even live to be 100, right? How many years is 100 years? A century. Very good. Okay. So do you know how many years? We talked about this. Is 1,000 years? A millennium. Very good. Prefix milla means 1,000. We talked about. So 1,000,000 years is many more than that. Okay. So it says, the author says, insects today look a lot like they did millions of years ago. Underline 3 facts that can help you support the fact that they look like they did a long, long time ago. You've got 6 answers to choose from, and you have to pick 3. Dragonflies from long ago could be as big as a dog. Is that a fact that says that the dragonfly today looks like it did a long time ago? No. If it's as big as a dog, that's not what it looks like today. So you would not choose A. B, today's cockroaches still have a flat body? Could that be a reason? That they look the same as they did? Yes, good. You would choose B. Okay. C, prehistoric dragonflies had long, thin bodies. Okay. Is that going to talk about how they looked millions of years ago? The word prehistoric, we said, meant a long, long time ago. So, did dragonflies have long, thin bodies? Yes, you could pick C. Yes, very good. All right, this is a detail that supports the fact that insects look a lot like they do today. D, cockroaches are built for running. They ran yesterday, they ran today the same. Would that be a fact? Yes. Okay. So you would underline or you would circle D. Number E, ancient dragonflies had wingspans up to 2 feet. Okay, that does not support how they look today because today they're smaller, a lot smaller. So you would not underline E and F. Most insects today are much smaller than they once were. Does that support how they looked a long time ago? No. So you would not choose F. Very good. Okay, now the book wants you to reread paragraph number 5. What key point does this sentence from paragraph 5 support? They were still able to find food and shelter as the world changed. Okay, look at your 4 answers there. They were still able to find food and shelter, which is why insects have survived all these years. As long as they can find food and a place to live, then they will be okay. Look at the 4 answers. Insects have not changed much because they haven't needed to. B, some insects have changed a lot in some ways and not so much in other ways. C, insects long ago looked a lot like insects today. Or D, cockroaches are built in a way that works well for them. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for a key point from the story that's going to tell why insects are still able to find food and shelter as the world changed. Which one of those makes sense to you? Okay. B is incorrect because it's better supported by sentences that show how insects have not changed much. Okay. So we don't choose B. It says some insects have changed a lot in some ways, but not a lot in others. Okay, that doesn't support. C is incorrect because the reason in the question does not connect to the answer, what we're looking for. We're looking for something that tells me why they're able to survive still today because of food. They found food and shelter. And D is not correct because that doesn't actually support the answer. So which answer would I pick? A. Insects have not changed much because the book says they haven't needed to. Good. Okay, turn over to the next page. You know how we discussed that in a dictionary, a word can have several meanings. Shelter can be a place, it could be a noun. I live under shelter. I've got a roof over my head. Okay. A noun, that's something that protects me from weather or danger. But it can also be a verb. You know how you heard the mayor say shelter in place? Means that's a verb. Stay in place. Shield yourself in place. Refuge in place. Okay, so that you cannot go out, and that's called to shelter, a verb. A shelter can also be number 3, a refuge or a place for the poor or homeless to stay. Okay, there's a homeless shelter that keeps people that don't have a place to stay at night. Okay, so it can be a verb, to shelter, or it could be a noun, a shelter. Look at the sentence here. They were still able to find food and shelter as the world changed. Is that a verb, shelter, or a noun? They were able to find food and shelter. That's a noun. It's not to shelter, it's a shelter. So look at your definitions. Is it meaning 1, 2, 3, or 4? Okay, a shelter. They were able to find food and shelter. Which one do you think? Something that protects them from the weather or danger. So which one did you choose? Number one. Number one. What sentence best describes the key point of the entire article? Okay, if you had to read the entire article, what key point would you say? A, cockroaches and dragonflies have survived for millions of years. Is that the key point? Insects haven't changed much since prehistoric times. C, insects are built in ways to allow them to survive. Or D, insects today are smaller and weaker than they once were. What would you say is the key point to the whole story? B, insects have not changed much since prehistoric times. Very good. For the last part of plan your response, again, you can get out your piece of paper and you can make your web. Go back and reread the selection if you need to on insects. Let's see what it's going to ask us about. It says, explain the reasons the author gives to support her point that it's a good idea to look at insects closely. Use details from the story to tell me what they were like millions of years ago and what they're like today. Okay, first of all, you need to mention the key point. What is the key point on the story of these insects? The key point was that they have not changed much. Okay, only a few have changed a lot. Okay, they have not changed very much. Make sure you list that in when you write your response. Okay, for millions of years. This would mean that the insects today look a lot like the insects looked millions of years ago. Make sure you mention that. So when you go to plan your response, talk about the way they look. You can talk about the cockroach. We'll abbreviate it roach for short. That's an example of a detail. Now, how do we know that? We know what they ate. We know that they found shelter. Those could be things you mention as you write your paragraph. Make sure as you're writing your paragraph, you come up with a few things. Number one, you come up with the topic sentence, and that would be what your key point is. You'd say the key point of this article was, and then you tell me, okay? Then you would say some details I found were, and then you'd name your details. Go back and look at your story for help. And then the last part you need to look at is your learning target. How does understanding the way authors use reasons to support key points help you understand ideas in a text? Think about what we've learned this week. The topic has been important to the story we've read. As we've read all week, we were able to figure out how the details help support the key point of the story. Okay, think about how the author used reasons to support their key points. And if you do all that, you should be able to understand what an article has for the reader to learn. Okay? Very good. Now, at the end of the lesson, make sure you've typed all of those things under the reading. It says, I ready lesson 19. Make sure you've typed all your answers because that's what you will click when you click turn in to Mrs. Gaylord. Okay? All right. Well, you are doing, I skipped a couple of stars there. You get 2 or 3 for listening, for all those things during math and reading. Thank you. If you need to take a break, Press a quick pause. Get yourself really almost done, but get yourself revved back up. Do some exercise real quick. Take a sip of water. Come back and get ready to finish out today with social studies, okay? Very good. Okay, so we're back, and today we're going to review a little bit about social studies. Notice by tomorrow there's a couple of little worksheets you were supposed to complete on in our social studies part of the Google Classroom, and we've learned a couple of things today. Okay, first of all, we learned what is the study of resources? Remember, Miss Gaylord showed you this yesterday. What is the study of resources? We call that the economy or economics. Okay. All right. What are some of these resources? What would be this one called? This is an example of like air, water, mountains, dirt. Natural resources. Okay. This one is money. Money. Okay. What kind of resources are these? People. People. Okay. We have some people that do certain jobs that are done for others. What do we call those jobs? Like a teacher. A service job. Very good. Another type of resource would be equipment. Equipment. Okay. This is our study of economy. We talked about what if there's not enough to go around? There's not enough resources. Right now, many people are wanting to get certain things. Let's say that we were at the car shop and everybody wanted a red car. Okay. But there was only 1 or 2 red cars to be sold and they were gone. So the rest of the people had to get a different color. They had to get a blue car or a green car. What will we say about the red cars? They are scarce. They are scarce. Okay, scarcity means that there are not enough resources to provide everything people want, and therefore they're scarce. Okay, you can't find them. Let's say you couldn't find some red cars at that time. What about when you go to buy something and you decide to buy something, okay, and you are at the store and you really want this new little motorcycle. You love a motorcycle, okay? But then you decide you're going to buy the Hello Kitties instead. What do we call what you gave up, what you did not get? The opportunity cost. Remember the opportunity cost. We went to the dollar store. We could either get the plushie or the ice cream. We chose the ice cream and we had to give up the plushie, remember? We talked about the difference between goods and services, okay? A good is something that you can get, okay? We talked about a good is something that you buy. And we talked about how a service is different. Ms. Gaylord asked you to do the activity where would you tell me if this is a good or service, okay? Somebody cleaning your windows. Good or service? Service. Good. Okay. How about the roses you buy for mom on Mother's Day? Good. A good. Very good. Okay. How about a postman delivering the mail? Service. Good. Okay. How about the governor deciding to or helping the state in Atlanta do his job? That's a service. Very good. Okay. So we talked about how there's different ways also we can decide on goods. Okay. One is the price. If something is too high on a price, not many people buy it. It's too expensive. Maybe it's too expensive to buy that red car. So not many people are buying it. So they're making more blue cars because maybe the price is lower on a blue car. Okay. So the price is one way to decide. Okay. Another one is who decides who wants the most. Okay. I've got a couple of colors of ice cream here. Okay. I've got a green, a pink, another green, and I've got a yellow. Which one is the majority? Majority. Okay. Would be the green. Very good. There's more of the green than there are of the others. Majority rule means you have over half of something. We talked about that. I showed you how we voted in class. And if we voted on something and more than half of the class voted, we call that the majority. Okay, let's look at the PowerPoint today. We're on day 4, and it's called Who Gets Goods and Services? There are different ways to what we call allocate or decide who gets goods and services. Let's look at this one, okay? There are 6 ways here we'll talk about. The first one I want to look at is the price. Price is a way to allocate goods and services. If the price is low, many people can afford to buy the good or service. If the price is high on something, only a few people can buy it. Okay, so if you have 2 prices, let's say that you have, here's my money, okay? If you have let's say it's a toy that cost $20, okay? You're at the store, your toy is going to cost $20. This toy is going to cost $10. Most likely, which toy is going to sell more? The toy that cost the $20 or the toy that cost the $10? Probably the toy that cost the $10, okay, because the price is lower. Okay, that's one way to allocate, to decide who gets what goods and services. Another way is by contests. Who gets a good or service can be decided by what we call contest. Whoever wins the contest gets the good. Okay, can you think about it in an example like that? You've seen a contest on TV. How many of you watch TV? You've seen the game shows. Okay, and the winner gets to take home all the money. Okay, that's an example of that. Another way to decide who gets the goods and services, it says, is by force. Force is a way of deciding who gets goods and services. Force means that whoever is the strongest takes the good or service. Okay. I watched The Biggest Loser, okay, this week on TV. And so the person that got all the money at the end was the person who lost the most weight. So that's kind of an example of that. Force, okay? Whoever was the strongest and was able to lose the most weight got the big prize. That's an example of force, okay? Another example is by sharing. Sharing is a friendly and peaceful way to allocate goods and services, okay? If there are only 6 cookies for our whole class, say we've got 12 people there, the teacher would probably break them apart and give you half a cookie and you half a cookie. That way everybody gets the same. That's called sharing, okay? Another thing is called a way that goods or services are given out is by a lottery. A lottery gives everybody just a random chance to get pulled. Think of pulling a name out of a hat. Okay, a lottery method is when people put their names in like a container or maybe in the computer, and the name that gets pulled out wins. Okay, so the lottery way is a different way to decide who gets goods and services. Let's go over again. Okay. All right, let me look. There's 6 things I want to review. Price, how much something costs is one. Majority rule, who gets the most votes wins. Okay. The next one is contests. Whoever wins the contest gets the prize. Okay. The next one is force. Whoever is the strongest takes the good or service. Sharing, break it apart and share equally with everybody. Or lottery, you put the names in a hat and pick one out. There are 6 ways to distribute goods and services. We call that word allocation or allocate. That's a word that you would need to know with economics, okay? Very good. All right, so this week we have covered there's two sheets you should do in your social studies Google Classroom on goods and services, and the other one there on economy. And next week, we will finish up this chapter on the economy and the things that we've studied and continue to assess what we've learned in those. Okay? Very good. You did a great job with that. All right. Now, lastly, couple things. Have you been going to your daily websites? Have you been clicking on your iReady and your MobyMax? Because by Friday, I have to have all the minutes logged in those programs for you to get credit, okay? So make sure that you're doing the math and reading in iReady, the fact fluency in MobyMax, and the science and social studies, okay? Another thing that you could go to if you have time is you could go to the gifted corner. That's for everybody this time because everybody might need some extra things to do. Those are some fun things that we've put up there for you to do. Maybe you find a book that you want. Go make a fort. Read a book in a corner. Snap me a picture. Send it on Remind to me so I can see what you're doing at home. That would be awesome. Another thing is to make sure that you are doing the classwork for the humanities. Are you going to the PE class, the music class, the art class, the Spanish, and Miss Negley's? And you don't have as much to do there, but you have something to do. Make sure you're going to those. The last thing is that have you thought about maybe getting a copy of this? Miss Gaylord sent it to your parents yesterday. If you cannot get a copy, you can follow along on the PDF that Miss Gaylord sent on Charlotte's Web. Who was the main characters that we met yesterday? Who were they? Do you remember her name? Fern. Fern was her name. Do you remember her last name? What were her parents' names? Mr. and Mrs. Arable. Her name is Fern Arable. At the beginning of the story, Mr. Arable was about to go out to the farmyard and he had his axe. Do you know what he was going to do? Fern thought he was going to get rid of that baby pig. What do we call an animal that's small and weak? We learned it was called a runt. So this little pig was the runt of the litter. Do you know what a litter is? A group of animals that are born at the same time. This little pig was the smallest, weakest one, and she was very upset. Would you be upset? I would too. And she got her dad to give her that pig. Do you know how he did it? Yes, that morning at breakfast, he dropped the carton in her seat. And Fern had to begin to take care of it. How would you take care of a baby animal that you did not know how to feed? She got a baby bottle from her mother and she began to feed. Very good. Remember this we looked at yesterday? She began to feed. Now, if you want to go ahead and start to read a little bit so that when Miss Gaylord reads the story that you will know what she's talking about, then you go ahead and do that. Chapter 2, Wilbur. Fern loved Wilbur, that's the pig's name, more than anything. She loved to stroke him, to feed him, to put him to bed. Every morning, as soon as she got up, she warmed his milk, tied on his bib, and held the bottle for him. Every afternoon, when the school bus stopped in front of her house, she jumped out and ran to the kitchen to fix another bottle for him. She fed him again at supper time and again just before going to bed. Mrs. Arable gave him another feeding around noontime each day. What time is noon? 12 o'clock. Good. While Fern was away at school, Wilbur loved his milk, and he was never happier than when Fern was warming up a bottle for him. He would stand and gaze up at her with adoring eyes. Do you know what the word gaze means? To look at. For the first few days of his life, Wilbur was allowed to live in the box near the stove in the kitchen. And then when Mrs. Arable complained, he was moved to a larger box in the woodshed. At 2 weeks of age, he was moved outdoors. It was apple blossom time and the days were getting warmer, okay? Just like now in spring, Every day you go outside, it's getting warmer. Mr. Arable fixed a small yard, specially for Wilbur, under the apple tree, and gave him a large wooden box full of straw with a doorway cut in it so he could walk in and out as he pleased. Won't he be cold at night? Asked Fern. No, said her father. You watch and see what he does. Carrying a bottle of milk, Fern sat down under the apple tree inside the yard. Wilbur ran to her and she held the bottle for him while he sucked. When he had finished the last drop, he grunted and walked sleepily into the box. Fern peered through the door. Wilbur was poking straw in with his snout. In a short time, he had dug a tunnel in his straw. He crawled into the tunnel and disappeared from sight, completely covered with straw. Fern was enchanted. Do you know what the word enchanted means? She was spellbound. She loved to watch him. It relieved her mind to know that her baby would sleep covered up and would stay warm. Every morning after breakfast, Wilbur walked over to the road with Fern and waited till her bus came. She would wave goodbye to him, and he would stand and watch the bus until it vanished around the turn. Do you know what the word vanished means? To disappear. While Fern was in school, Wilbur was shut up inside his yard. But as soon as she got home in the afternoon, she would take him out and he would follow her around the place. If she went into the house, Wilbur went too. If she went upstairs, Wilbur would wait at the bottom step until she came down again. If she took a doll for a walk in a carriage, Wilbur followed along. Sometimes on these journeys, Wilbur would get tired, and Fern would pick him up and put him in the carriage alongside her doll. He liked this. If he was very tired, he would close his eyes and go to sleep under the doll's blanket. He looked cute when his eyes were closed because his lashes were so long. The doll would close her eyes too, and Fern would wheel the carriage very slowly and smoothly, as not to wake her infants. One warm afternoon, Fern and Avery put on bathing suits and went down to the brook for a swim. Do you know what a brook is? Okay, a body of water, okay, kind of like a lake, in between a lake and a river. Wilbur tagged along at Fern's heels, and when she waded into the brook, Wilbur waded in with her. He found the water quite cold, too cold for his liking. So while the children swam and played and splashed in the water at each other, Wilbur amused himself in the mud along the edge of the brook where it was warm and moist and delightfully sticky and oozy. You know, pigs like that nasty, icky, sticky, oozy stuff. Every day was a happy day, and every night was peaceful. We'll pause here today, and you can look ahead if you'd like to, and you can stay with us. Find a book if you can on your own. Go outside, find a corner somewhere, maybe in the sun, and read. And I want you to use this time to do your work, but also enjoy some things at home. Well, I've had a good day. I hope you've had a great week, and I hope to see you tomorrow with our Zoom chat, okay? Click the link on your parents' email, and they can help you get in if you're able to, okay? All right. I'll see you soon, and thank you for a good class. Bye-bye.